Welcome. This is Joe Oliphant from the City of Missoula Public Works Department. Today with me also is Jeremy Keene from WGM Group. Today we're going to be talking about the Brooks South Russell Intersection Improvement Project and the Brooks Street Project. Construction is underway. Our contractor for this project is L.S. Jensen. The design engineer and the construction engineer is WGM Group. The project was a collaboration with the City of Missoula Public Works Department, Montana Department of Transportation, and Federal Highways. As I said, these are two projects. The City of Missoula is managing both these projects with the Montana Department of Transportation oversight. WGM Group, who designed the project, has also been hired by the city to help with the construction administration. Our construction started March 21st. We have an estimated completion date of October 2005. That estimate is weather dependent, and we have a 4-phase construction sequence that we'll go through. Presently, we have information centers about the construction, the schedule, and the detours set up at Southgate Mall, the U.S. Post Office, on Kent Street, Tidyman's Store, and Ace Hardware. If other businesses are interested, they certainly can have these information centers sent up. All they need to do is contact the City of Missoula. This is an example of one of the posters that's up at those information centers. I realize you can't probably see this very well, but this essentially shows those 4 phases of construction along with the Brooks Street Pavement Preservation Project. Let's talk a little bit about the construction sequencing. Between March and May, there'll be 2 phases, a phase A and a phase B for phase 1, and we'll essentially be doing reconstruction work around Sentinel High School. This is a vacant lot. It's in front of the College of Technology, and then we'll also be working down Sussex Avenue. This part of the construction will last about 3 weeks. The second phase of this is probably the most impactful of the whole project. We'll actually close down Johnson Street at South Avenue. We have major construction there to put in a signal and to realign our railroad tracks. There'll be a detour in place during this construction. We anticipate this will last about 2 weeks. And during that time, people will not be able to go through on South Avenue. They'll travel Kent to North Avenue to Garfield and access the other side of South Avenue that way. We'll also be doing work on Garfield. Once that phase has been completed, the contractor will then start phase 2, and this phase will essentially complete the Fairview part of the realignment. We'll also be doing intersection improvements at Holborn and Stevens, and then some widening along Brooks and some parking lot work at Trimper's Shopping Center. We anticipate this phase will last about 6 weeks. Prior to starting phase 3, the city and our contractor will have put in 4 new traffic signals. So for phase 3, which will start around the 1st of July and last about 3.5 weeks, we'll actually be working right at the intersection of Brooks South and Russell. And during this time, there'll be local closures, but we'll be maintaining eastbound and westbound traffic on South Avenue. Phase 4 is the last phase for the Brooks South and Russell project. This will entail work along South Avenue for medians and some additional landscaping work. We anticipate this work will last about 3 weeks. Around this time, in July and August, there's a separate project that we'll be doing. It's called the Pavement Preservation Project on Brooks Street. We're coordinating this project with the Brooks South and Russell project to minimize impact to the public, save cost. And the scope of work for this is repaving Brooks from Reserve Street to Mount Avenue. We realize this work is impactful, so it'll be done only at night. It'll last about 11 days, and it'll happen from 7 p.m. till 7 a.m. During that time, Brooks will be shut down with 1 lane in each direction. And this is a graphic that shows the extent of that. Again, going from left to right on your screen, Reserve Street all the way to Mount Avenue. We'll be repaving and milling up the old pavement, putting down new striping. Now, if you have questions about the construction, if you have questions about your access, we have a project engineer, Gary Hine. He works for WGM Group. Here's his contact information. And then my contact information is listed there also. I work for the City of Missoula in the Public Works Department. At this time, I'll turn this over to Jeremy King from WGM Group.
Thanks, Joe. I'm going to talk a little bit about the project history and why we're doing the project and how it's all going to work when we're done. This project came about 12 years ago when the City of Missoula received some federal aid money to address congestion and air quality in the City of Missoula. The Brook South Russell project was initiated formally. It had been talked about for many years before that, going back as far as 1967 when they identified the intersection as a potential problem. In 1994, an overpass solution was proposed and rejected by the community because of the impacts that it caused to the area and the adjacent businesses. In 1995, the city, along with another consultant, developed alternatives for the realignment of South Avenue. The thinking behind this was that South Avenue carries about 25% of the traffic going through the intersection, but it uses almost 50% of the signal time. So it began to make sense to try to take South Avenue out of the intersection and have South Avenue traffic access Brook Street at a different location to provide better signal timing and coordination for Russell Street and Brook Street. In 1997, the preferred alternative and an environmental assessment were adopted by the City Council. And in 1998, the Federal Highway Administration gave approval to the project and issued a finding of no significant impact. In 1999, there was a public hearing and the City Council passed a resolution funding the preferred alternative. In 2001, there was an additional public meeting. In 2002, we performed a reevaluation of the environmental assessment to document any changes in the design that occurred over the project development of several years. And this was approved by MDT and the Federal Highway Administration in 2003. In 2004, the right-of-way acquisition was completed, and in November of 2004, a contract was awarded to L.S. Jensen. In March of 2005, construction began. The project entails a large area and a number of streets in order to achieve the goal of realigning South Avenue. From the east side of the project, we are doing work at the intersection of South and Johnson, reconstructing Garfield and Fairview, modifying the signal at Brooks and Fairview, modifying the signal at Brooks South and Russell, adding a new signal at the intersection of Sussex and Brooks, adding a new signal at Russell and North, as well as a new signal at Garfield and South. The project features new streets, new striping, landscaping, a fair amount of change for these streets in order to accomplish what we're doing here. On the west realignment of South Avenue, the traffic will be diverted at the intersection of Garfield and South. And we'll divert down to Fairview and access Brooks at that point, traveling north on Brooks and then able to get back onto South Avenue at the intersection. On the east realignment, traffic will be diverted at the intersection of Holborn and South, traveling westbound, and will divert up to Sussex and access Brooks at a new intersection at Sussex and Brooks. Another important part of this design is the intersection of South and Johnson and the intersection of North and Russell, which will both get new signals and provide an alternate route for going around the junction to either go north or west on South Avenue. So if you're headed on South Avenue and want to go north on Russell, you can divert up to Johnson, over on North, and then get back on Russell and continue to the north that way. In addition to the Brooks South Russell project, the City of Missoula has a project on South Avenue between Grant and Clark Streets to reconstruct that portion of South Avenue. This involves new curb and gutter, 9-foot sidewalks, handicapped ramps, bike lanes, center left turn lane. And construction will begin on that project in May of 2005 and is scheduled to be completed in August. So this project will tie into our Brooks South Russell project and will really complete the whole area with a new street system. One of the major questions we get with this project is, how do I get where I'm going? How do I get to where I'm trying to go if I'm traveling on South Avenue? The light blue color is the eastbound direction of travel. Traveling eastbound on South Avenue, traffic will divert down Garfield and over to Fairview. Get on Brooks, going north, and then make a right turn back onto South Avenue and continue on. If you're westbound, you'll divert up 1 block to Sussex, access Brooks, make a right turn onto South Avenue and continue on. For local access to the businesses that are on South Avenue, you will still be able to continue on South Avenue to access these areas. On the west side, when you get to the intersection, you'll no longer be able to enter the intersection. You'll have to turn around and go back. On the east side, you can continue down South Avenue to access these businesses, and when you get to Brook Street, you'll be able to make a right turn and go north. If you're on Russell Street, it will function basically as it functions today. You'll be able to make right turns onto South Avenue. You'll be able to make a right turn onto Brook Street, or be able to continue straight through on Russell. As an alternate route, you can also make a right turn onto North and go over to Johnson and connect up with South Avenue, as we showed before. From the south, it's the same setup. You can make right turns onto South Avenue, right turns onto Brooks, or continue straight through. Or as an alternate route, if you're trying to get to South Avenue going westbound, you make a left on Fairview, you continue through the intersection, up Garfield, and over to South Avenue. If you're on Brook Street, again, it's similar to the way it functions today. Straight through or right turns on either Russell or South, with alternate routes by either going up Garfield to get onto South Avenue or coming down Stevens to get onto South Avenue, in either direction. Again, the North Johnson bypass route with a signal at South and Johnson and a signal at North will be a good route around the junction, with full directional access at each one of these intersections. As part of the design of this project, we performed a traffic simulation model to evaluate how the different alternatives we were looking at would function. And using traffic projections for the year 2022, we looked at the PM peak hour under the no-build condition. This would be leaving the existing intersection as it is today, doing no action. You can see that the traffic backs up considerably on Brook Street and on Russell. We have some long queues in either direction. And this is a situation that you see today, even under today's traffic on a bad day. You also see here that South Avenue has two separate phases for left turning traffic. A large portion of the traffic on South Avenue wants to turn onto Brooks. And you can see that happening. So each leg of South Avenue goes independently, which takes up a considerable amount of signal time. And so while South Avenue is going, Brook Street backs up well past Sussex on the north edge and towards Fairview on the south. Some very long queues, and those lines of cars often don't make it through the signal on one green cycle. This is a simulation of the same traffic model under the preferred alternative. This is the reroute of South Avenue traffic over to Sussex and the improved signal timing at Brooks and Russell. You can see under this situation the traffic on Brooks and Russell is considerably better. The queues are much shorter. And the traffic that was on South Avenue is now on Sussex. And there it goes right there, is able to access Brooks and then continue on through the intersection when the light turns green on Brooks. So here's the South Avenue traffic queuing up at Sussex. You can see the queues on Russell are shorter than they were under the no-build condition. We're able to make this intersection a simple two-phase signal. So we're able to give more green time to Brooks and more green time to Russell, which are carrying the majority of the traffic. The other portion of this design is the Fairview and Brooks intersection. And this shows how we'll have a double left turn, Fairview, going onto Brooks to take care of the traffic that was previously on South Avenue. One of the things that the modeling lets us do is compare alternatives and measures of effectiveness for each design that we considered. These are the modeling results for the preferred alternative for one peak hour in the year 2022. And the numbers that we got are a 39% reduction in average delay per vehicle, a 45% reduction in total network delay. This would be the entire area that was considered, all the different signals and streets that are involved. A 29% reduction in fuel consumed. That's 176 fewer gallons that are consumed during one peak hour. A 29% reduction in carbon monoxide, and an 81% reduction in unserved vehicles. And this is the number of vehicles that have to wait through more than one cycle of the signal. In other words, if you're at the signal and you don't make it through the green, and you have to wait for another entire signal cycle. And that's really a measure of user satisfaction. So while the design will at times still have some congestion, and it's certainly not a perfect solution, it does have a significant benefit for the street capacity. There are also a number of other benefits that this project brings, and these are important for what we're doing. The air quality and reduced delay with the new and existing traffic signals certainly help with pollution and traffic delays. But some of the other things that we're doing, access management, providing new curb and gutter and raised medians to help better direct and improve access and circulation to the businesses and residences in the area. And non-motorized improvements such as sidewalks, bicycle lanes, pedestrian crosswalks are a big part of the project, and we think this is going to have a real noticeable effect on the ability to walk and ride your bike through the area. Safety is a big issue. The project will help move people and goods in a safe and more efficient manner. We've really tried to address intersection safety, pedestrian and bicycle safety, and those types of issues with the project. And then the visual improvements. The intersection and adjacent areas will have over $150,000 of new landscaping installed with the project. We're adding trees, we're adding median landscaping, irrigation. So we think we're going to be able to provide a big visual improvement for the junction as well as the surrounding areas. Appreciate you joining us for this presentation. Please feel free to contact us if you have any questions about the project.